how to be more restrained when you're crushing on someone so you don't ruin your chances. Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about how to be more restrained when you begin to start crushing on someone, especially those kinds of people that you have just started dating, so you don't actually mess up your chances. So if you have just started to date someone, if you are really starting to like them, how can you stop yourself from being too needy and to develop emotional self-control so you don't end up ruining your chances? Because sometimes we can put people off if we become too full on too soon. A love story is something that kind of progresses and develops over time. It's not something that happens instantly. You have to allow that other person time to start developing the same kinds of feelings as what you do. So you might be really, really attracted to them. You might really, really want things to work with them. But they might not be on that same level yet. They might just be thinking of, okay, let's just see how this goes. Let's just see how this interaction goes. They might not necessarily be at that high level of attraction that you are yet. So when you do start dating someone and you start to really like them, you kind of have to refrain yourself. You do have to start restraining yourself. You do have to get into emotional self-control. Otherwise, if you do end up over pursuing and becoming too needy, you could actually put them off. So it's important that you start developing that emotional self-control. And I'm not saying it's easy, because it's not. It is a difficult thing to do. And this is something that I struggled with even when I knew a lot of what I coach now. When I met my wife, I was really, really into her. I wanted to message her every day, and it took a lot for me to just sit back and just allow that not to happen and not to over message too much and to not contact her too much. All that I did really, basically, when we started dating was when I asked her out and we had set up a definite date to go and meet with each other, I wouldn't message her that much in between the dates. In fact, on the first few dates that we went on together, I didn't message her at all in between dates unless she messaged me first. I think I may have messaged her once during that time because I was bringing a dog that I sometimes used to walk a lot. I used to walk a dog for a family friend. So I asked her in between asking her out and meeting her out, if it was okay if I could bring the dog, because I wasn't sure if she was allergic or if she had problems with dogs, if she didn't like them. So that was something that I did. I asked if it was okay to bring the dog, but that was something that was necessary. It wasn't something that was unnecessary. But it was really difficult for me to not just say things like, hi, how are you? Or just sending a good morning text, because I had to restrain myself and think, look, she's not there yet. She's probably not that into me yet. She doesn't really know me yet. So even though I'm really, really attracted to her and I find her really attractive, it doesn't mean that she's at that same level yet. So you kind of need to restrain yourself until that other person who you're dating starts displaying strong attraction for you. So something that can help is if you actually, try to distract yourself. And that's something that I had to do a lot as well. I had to distract myself so I wouldn't reach out. I had to, do something else with my time. So back then I would, read a book whenever I had free time and I was just really thinking about, I really, really wish I could message her. So I would do things that I like to do. I would read a book, or I would watch a seminar on something that I was really interested in, or I'd listen to a podcast, or listen to an audiobook. I'll do something that I would enjoy to distract myself, so I wouldn't end up ruining my chances and start messaging her, because that's something that I had done in the past and it never really ended well, especially with those girls who had only just started dating and who didn't know me that well yet. So before you message someone that you're dating, ask yourself this question: is this going to make me seem more attractive, or is it going to make me feel weak? Now, if you're coming from a place of or I'm worried that the date's not going to happen, or I'm worried that they're not going to continue talking to me, and that's why you send the message, then more than likely what you're going to say is going to make you look weak, because you're coming from that place of fear. So, ask yourself that question: is this going to make me look attractive, or is it going to make me look more weak? Another thing to ask yourself is, before you send a message that could be needy, is this necessary? Is this something that she needs to know? Now, I was kind of on the other receiving end of this kind of thing once, like the bad example that you don't want to do. And this person that I was dating, she would message me after she finished work saying, just finished work. You know, it was something that I didn't need to know, and we'd only just started dating, so it wasn't really, I don't know why she was updating me on every single movement she was making, and it made me feel a little bit put off. Like I didn't really like her that much after she started doing things like that. Like she would constantly try and update me on what she was doing through the day. She would say good morning, she would say good night, and we hadn't even seen each other that much, so it kind of made me feel weird, and it kind of made me feel a bit uneasy. So because she was displaying that kind of high level of interest straight away and basically updating me on practically all of her movements, it made me feel really uncomfortable, and I decided not to continue dating them because it just seemed a bit off it just felt off. So when you are about to message the person that you like, the person that you're dating, the person that you're trying to restrain yourself from messaging, ask yourself, is this necessary? Do I need to actually tell them this? Or is this something that I can talk about with them on the actual date when I actually do meet up with them? Because sometimes, if you keep on updating and telling each other what's going on throughout your day all of the time, then when you get to the date, you've got nothing really to talk about. So let's say you started dating on a Saturday and you made another date for the next Saturday. But in between that time, you're always updating each other on what you're doing. When you actually meet out on the date, you've got nothing to talk about because you've talked about it all throughout the week by a text and stuff like that. So save things for the date so you've got something to talk about, so you've got something to discuss. Save those things because it'll make the date more interesting and you'll have more to talk about and it won't be boring. Because sometimes if you run out of things to say because you've basically ruined it by talking too much in between dates, then the date's going to be really dull and it's going to be boring and you're going to have nothing to talk about. So, don't volunteer that information about yourself because a lot of people do, and it sometimes ruins their chances. Not all the time, because sometimes you might be dating someone who has a really, really high level of attraction for you and basically you can do no wrong in their eyes and they'll let these kinds of things slide, if you message them too much. They might not mind it as much if they're really, 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 really attracted to you. But most people that you meet, most people that you go on dates with are just going to be like at that stage of, I just want to see where things go. They are not at that high level of attraction yet, which you need to wait and allow them to get to that point. And you have to do that by restraining yourself from messaging too much and just basically, getting to know each other on dates when you can physically see each other, or over FaceTime or something like that, or over some other kind of video messaging service. And just, use that time, that allotted time for that instead of using it through text messages. Because, there could be a lot of miscommunication when you're sending messages. You might send them a message and they might perceive it as something that's passive aggressive. Let's say you don't use emojis and they think when someone sends them a message without emojis, they're being passive aggressive or they're being aggressive in some way. And it could confuse them. Or it could be the case that they don't send a lot of emojis, or perhaps they do send a lot of emojis, but you don't like that. And then because of how you're receiving those messages, you come off in a different way. And basically it's just a load of miscommunication. But when you're in front of each other, it's much more difficult for there to be miscommunication because you can read each other's body language. And body language is really, really important, and facial expressions are really important because they can tell if you're joking. Let's say you send a joke to them over Messenger and they think you're being serious, but when you're in front of them and you say that joke, they might not think that it'll be much more easier for them to tell that you're being humorous about it because they can tell by your facial expressions, by the tone of your voice. But it's so much more difficult to do that kind of thing over Messenger. So just avoid texting as much as you can. And if they do reach out to you via text and they ask how you are, then keep it brief. If they send you a message saying, hi, how are you today? You feel, I'm feeling really great, thank you. So nice to hear from you. I can't wait to see you. And they might say something else as well. And you can be like, well, I got to go now, but you know what? I really can't wait to see you. So I'll talk to you when I see you, and I can't wait to talk to you. Obviously don't be cold to them. Don't be messaging them in such a way that you come across as cold, and don't be so brief that it makes you look cold. Always be warm to them, always be accepting of them, always be saying to them, I can't wait to see you next, I can't wait to meet out with you, I've got so much to tell you, I'm so excited. Always be, like that towards them, and don't be cold and try to cut things off and do something like that. Don't cut a conversation off if you are messaging each other in a cold way. Just say it as something as, I've got to run, I've got to go, I've got all these things I need to do, but I really, really can't wait to talk to you, and I'm so excited to see you. And if you've got a date already lined up, let's say you've got a date on Saturday that's already lined up, you can say, can't wait to see you on Saturday, I can't wait to tell you all about it then, when I can give you my full attention, and something along those lines. And it may feel really, really painful to restrain yourself, because it really is. Like, I can definitely imagine this when I first started dating my wife. And again, I knew a lot of this stuff back then. So when we were just started dating, I really, really liked her. I really wanted to see her. And it was difficult. Like, it didn't feel nice to just stop myself from, messaging her too much. But I did it. I had to restrain myself because I did really like her and I didn't want to mess things up. So if you're really, really serious about this person that you're dating, treat it like that, and you really want things to work out with them, then you need to restrain yourself. You need to wait until their feelings have developed as well. You can't project what you're feeling onto them and hope that they're feeling the same way. You got to wait for it so that they show it through their actions, through their vibe, that they really like you as well. And you can tell that by when you're on a date and they're really affectionate towards you. You can tell if they start initiating contact with you via Messenger and things like that. You can tell then that that person's really into you, and they are, starting to get to that point where they're starting to feel the same way as you do about them. So an analogy that I would like to use for you is, think about plants. Most plants can only take about a limited amount of water, a limited amount of sunshine. They need breaks from too much water and too much sunshine. And basically, that's kind of how you have to treat the dates, the people that you're dating. You got to treat that relationship like a plant. Obviously it gets water and sunshine when you meet out, but then you need to leave that plant alone. You need to leave that person alone and allow them to grow instead of keep on watering them and keep on giving them all that sunlight. It's kind of like if you keep on doing that and you're forcing things and you're forcing that plant to grow, it's not going to grow. And if you kind of see your dates and that relationship that you have with your date like that, like something that needs to grow, that needs breaks from you before you put on the sunshine and water, then that will really, really help with your future interactions, and it will help for that relationship to grow. And again, you don't have to just be very brief when you are messaging them. Just keep it to just a few messages max in between those kinds of things, and just save those things for when you actually meet in person. Keep it brief, keep those messages brief. Just use it in a way as a tool of, meeting up as opposed to getting to know each other. And that will really, really benefit you. If you would like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you guys again very soon. Goodbye.